Welcome back, guys. Today I thought I'd start off a series on living with Manjaro on a day-to-day basis, right from the first installation and through several topics that I feel would be beneficial to a new user. Now, if you have a topic you'd like me to cover, just put a note into the comments and I'll put that on the list. But today we're going to take a look at the new Manjaro 1608 Ellada. Now, those of you who watch the channel often know that I am very fond of Manjaro. I believe that they have excellent leadership, they have an excellent community, they put out an excellent distribution, and their end user support is excellent also. Now, if you're coming from Windows, the XFCE version of Manjaro, which is a flagship version, would be ideal. And that's what we're going to concentrate on, taking it through from soup to nuts. If a new user has made a decision to move from Windows, or at least investigate the option to see if moving away from Windows would be beneficial to them, then we will try to cover the topics that they would need to address during that transition. Now, the Manjaro team is second to none. When they are putting out a new release, for example, this 1608 Ellada, there was a lot of debugging, testing. They put it out as an unstable release, and I picked it up a few days ago, started using it, pass along some bug information to them regarding the Broadcom Wi-Fi and the Network Manager applet. And of course, they were excellent. The information was well received. They were very supportive, and they jumped on it from soup to nuts to get it resolved. And I just downloaded this final release of 1608 Ellada, and I don't see any indication that there are any bugs or any issues. Now, I started taking a look at the Manjaro Ellada, this new version, back when it was released on, I believe it was Preview 4. When the fourth preview came out, I downloaded it and began to pass along some information based on what I saw for bugs. And really, the only bug that I found was the Broadcom Network Manager / Network Manager applet. And so we went through some discussions, and I was happy to participate in a little bit of the debugging, but mainly from just passing along some feedback. And that's what you can do also. If you decide to download any Linux distribution, it's extremely helpful to the developers if you will pass along any issues that you come across. It will help them debug and eliminate those issues so that they don't become a problem for anyone else. But nevertheless, Manjaro, they have an excellent communication system. For example, every time they release a new version, whether it be on the stable or the unstable, they make an announcement. Now, here they also came upon there was the fifth preview of Ellada, and then some updates to specific packages. Now, you'll notice for NVIDIA actually has a 370 driver, but because of some issues that Manjaro encountered during the preparation of this Ellada, they rolled it back to 367. So if you take a look at NVIDIA, it's 367.44. And so that's one of the things they do on their own in order to try to prevent problems from developing and affecting the users in a negative way. They have an absolutely wonderful communication system. Their community is top notch. Now, they also announced just recently that they switched ownership. And basically, there's a lot of information here, but basically, they're saying that that won't have any impact on their ability to put out a great product. As a matter of fact, the people who are producing the distributions now are the same ones that did it in the past. The people who are leaving had gradually pulled back from the day-to-day development side of the organization anyway, so we shouldn't notice any negative situations arising at all because of the change in ownership. Now, Manjaro, as I mentioned, they have a great internal communication system. Every time they release, they issue an announcement. They have a lot of information on the website. Their flagships, as I mentioned, are KDE and XFCE, and they do have a net version, which is a bare bones, no graphics, just a Linux system with drivers that you can put your desktop on top of. I tried it. It's if you're gonna go that route, you're probably better off installing plain vanilla Arch. So I really like the XFCE version of Manjaro, and this new version is no exception. Now I'll take you through a little bit of the XFCE desktop in a moment. The forum, the Manjaro forum, is second to none. If you take a look at all of the categories, if you download one of the community editions and you have any questions, just go to the community edition support. The Manjaro development is for the new versions that haven't hit the stable side yet. There are all kinds of topics here that you, if you're a newbie, if you just have a general question, if you need technical assistance, this is where you'll come. And this is a great source for problem solving. If you have an issue, don't hesitate to come here, pick the most appropriate category, and put your question in. Now make sure you sign up so that you can post your questions, but more than likely you'll get a very quick response and get a solution for your problem without too much delay. Now their wiki page, which you can access from the welcome screen right here, the wiki is very, very comprehensive. It's got a lot of information, especially for a new user. You'll want to take a look at this to bring yourself up to speed with a basic understanding of the components of the Manjaro system. And it takes you through each and every step. Now the Manjaro Settings Manager, if I pull that up, here is where you can take a look at the kernel that you're running, take a look at different languages, load up a new kernel, hardware detection. If you want to see your hardware, let's expand this a little bit. So for example, now I know I have NVIDIA installed because during the install I selected the non-free option. So that gave me NVIDIA right out of the box. One of the questions I had for the folks over at Manjaro, and I did not get an answer, is, and I didn't push the issue. I'm sure if I had, I would have gotten a response. But I'm curious, what's the answer to this question? When I boot up from a Manjaro USB, the installer recognizes my Broadcom Wi-Fi and lets me use it during the install. So I can use my Broadcom Wi-Fi in the live version to do the install. Once I finish the install and boot into the hardware install on my hard drive, Broadcom is no longer available. I have to load the drivers and set it up myself. So my question, I guess, is, and perhaps somebody from Manjaro can comment. Oberon is terrific. He's one of the guys that has helped me a great deal. So Oberon, if you're seeing this, um, I'd be curious, what is the answer to that question? Why does Broadcom work for the install but doesn't work out of the box on the hard drive install? So on the live install, I can use Broadcom for my install, but once I boot into my hardware, my hard drive, I uh, Broadcom no longer functions. I have to make it function. I have to load the drivers. So I'm just curious. It would be extremely helpful for somebody with Broadcom that if they are able to use it during the install and they're installing the non-free version, they should get the NVIDIA drivers along with the Broadcom. Okay, so enough about that. Now, NVIDIA was good to go right out of the box. If I click on Show All Devices and I go to Network Controller, my Broadcom driver is listed even before I load the drivers to make it workable. So, for example, Manjaro knows it's there. It just needs to load the drivers, and I'm not sure why, if it works during the install, why doesn't it work out of the box? But nevertheless, the Manjaro Settings Manager contains a wealth of information and also gives you the ability to load up a new kernel. Now, the kernel that's running is the long-term support Linux 4.4.19-1. It is the recommended. It is obviously installed and running. I don't see any need to change that. Now, Manjaro has introduced real-time kernels. Those are for someone who is doing, let's say you're doing a lot of audio and video processing, and mainly audio. So if you're using a digital audio workstation, or if you're manipulating audio files, running a music studio, for example, then you might want a real-time kernel because it cuts down on the latency. So it basically syncs up the audio and video on your files in real time. So there's no lag, there's no latency. For the everyday user who is just interested in having a functioning, reliable, dependable system, I would go with the LTS kernel. If you would like to move ahead, of course, you can go to the Linux 4.6.7-1. But for Manjaro, they are stressing reliability and stability, and so they're going with the LTS, which is fine with me, and I intend to leave the LTS functioning. It suits my purposes very, very nicely. So let's see. Next topic is the user guide. Now, Manjaro is one of the few Linux distributions that puts out a fully comprehensive user guide. This particular user guide is available to you out of the box. It's 120 pages. It's a wealth of information. If you're new to Manjaro, I would recommend that you take a look through this because it will get you off on the right foot. There's a lot of information, an introduction to Manjaro, basic information, downloading, installing, setting up, checking your disk image for errors, writing your disk image. So it takes you through not only the installation, but booting the live environment, installing with Calamares. So it takes you through, it holds your hand all through the process, including petitioning, and will get you through the install to your first boot of your new system, and then you can begin to fully comprehend all of the features and benefits of a Manjaro system. It's an extremely comprehensive, well prepared user guide. I thoroughly recommend taking a look at that and just browse through at your leisure. Take a little bit at a time. Use it as you're able to with your system so that you can do real-time learning and factual learning as it relates directly to your system. So, as I said, Manjaro is one of the few Linux distributions that puts out such a comprehensive user guide. Okay, so let's take a look at the desktop. Now, this is the XFCE flagship version. The XFCE panel at the bottom contains the whisker menu. This is the way it looks out of the box. I usually make a few changes. I'll go through that with you when I do the next video, which will be on theming. So I've installed a few packages to the multimedia side. I installed GeoVC View, Kazam, OBS, OpenShot, SM Player, and Simple Screen Recorder. But all of the bases are covered. All the day-to-day bases are covered with the install out of the box. You'll just have to add what you need. I am not done adding what I need to turn this into a daily driver, and I'll do that over the series. Let's take a look at accessories, application finder, bulk rename, catfish, which is a file search, Clipman. Now I installed Compton, and everything that you basically need is here. There's where the user guide is under accessories. You can edit the menu. Mousepad is a simple text editor. There's a notes program. You can take a screenshot. So a CD burning, DVD burning application, you've got pretty much everything you need. Development, I don't go into that area. It's Qt4, but I don't get involved in that topic. Education is LibreOffice Math. For games, Steam is installed out of the box. Graphics, you've got GIMP, LibreOffice Drawer, and View Noir. For internet, Firefox is the default browser. Pigeon is installed. Thunderbird is installed for email. Multimedia I already reviewed with you. Office, LibreOffice is available out of the box. For settings, basically when I go into settings, I usually use this option, which gives you a listing of all of your settings, and this is your settings manager menu, and I'll go through that with you in subsequent episodes of this series. And so back to system. Gparted is available out of the box. That's a petitioning tool. You can add and remove software. You can change your greeter settings. Manage your printing. There's the Manjaro welcome screen. Now I use print settings when I configure my printer, but I will cover that in the series. I'll do an episode on setting up your printer. Sensor viewer shows your sensors within your system. So for example, fan speeds, internal CPU temperatures, hard drive temperatures, things like that. Software update, task manager, Thunar XFCE terminal. If we look at task manager, memory is running about 4%. I have 32 gig. CPU 8%. But again, I'm making a video, so the resources are going to be taxed a little bit more than a basic system out of the box. Now, when you look at if you look at resource usage out of the box, that's a beneficial number, but the real the real important number is what's the resource usage when you have it set up the way you're going to use it every day. That's the important number, and we'll take a look at that as I build my system. We'll take a look at that and see exactly what that resource usage is. Okay, so guys, that is it for this little introduction to Manjaro XFCE 1608 Ellada. Highly recommended. As I mentioned, I'm going to do a series on living with Manjaro day by day. And again, if you have any topics that you'd like to see covered, I will do my best to include it. Keep in mind, it's going to be a basic new user getting to know Manjaro series. So it's going to be focused on what does the new typical user need in order to use Manjaro and satisfy their computing requirements on a daily basis. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please rate, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for stopping by the channel, and I'll see you soon. Take care.